Welcome to the very first JK deal reveal for 2021. So glad you could make it. I see that we're still trickling in, which is wonderful. If you're joining in directly on Zoom, that's wonderful. If you're just looking at this on Facebook, that's great too. But be sure you register for these calls, n4t.club/free training, so you get those reminders. The JK Deal reveals and the free trainings are all in the same link. So hopefully I'm killing enough time here to make sure everyone joins in. If you're used to this, then that's great. We try to keep these very, very short. And the purpose of these calls, let me remind you, is so you can look at a deal and quickly get to the point where you feel confident and comfortable to pick up the phone, send the email, get into some serious and purposeful negotiations. And so without further ado, 701, I'm not gonna dilly daddle. We are going to jump right in, and this is how we're gonna do it. I have here a property that came in yesterday. Okay. So why are we excited about these JK deal reveals? I kind of said it. And if you want to, while I'm talking, do your own due diligence, see who can get there faster. I invite you at the beginning of every JK deal reveal, the address is at the bottom there. So today we're going to be doing 3281 East 104th Street in Cleveland. And the seller is asking $65,000 for this property. So we're going to see, I'm actually going to dive in to the negotiation that happened on this particular deal. And yes, this started yesterday, early afternoon, and already today to see how quickly this happened and how quickly we think you should get in so that you cut in front or at least filter through it much more deals much more efficiently than your competition. So we are exciting. Why? Because we're analyzing deals lightning quickly in a market that is, especially in cash flow and buying with the two golden rules of real estate, so under market value and with good cash flow, much better than in Canada. We are investing where it makes sense, where the numbers make sense, but also when the numbers make sense. Interestingly, this is not something I would normally add because timing the market, not the easiest thing to do, nor you should really, but we are right on the cusp of something that's huge. This is the time to get ready, to get knowledgeable, to dive in, because we're predicting something massive to happen in the next 6 months. Okay. So do what you need to do to get ready because there are deals right now, as you'll see, and there will be a lot more coming right around the corner. So let's just say Dino says the best time is now. Wonderful. I would agree, Dino. Okay, great. So let's dive into this. So first of all, I want to show you how this started. This was, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Right into my emails. Okay. We got um, from one of our relationships, this is someone that we've dealt with for many years. They say, hey, Kyle, I've got this property. Are you interested? Now, that is the best position and the best posture you can have because you are building off of Ford, the relationships you've built with people, and then deals start chasing you. That is the goal, people. That is what you need to have happen as often as possible. And if you haven't been to one of our trainings, we go into how to build those relationships by going through Ford and family, basically connecting on family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. How do you build relationships so that deals chase you rather than the other way around? So this is how it started. So what do I see? I'm seeing here that it's a single family rental, CMHA, which basically means it's a Section 8, which is mean it's the government, the federal government is paying this tenant's rent. It's a 4 bedroom, 1 bath. And those subsidized programs, they go based on the size of the property and they match a qualified tenant with a qualified property. And the bigger your property and the bigger their voucher, the more rent they will cover. So a 4 bedroom is much more desirable in a subsidized program than a 3 bedroom, and a three is better than a two, and so forth. So I see 4 bedroom and I see subsidized program. I'm like, okay, this might be interesting. 1,000 of rent is what per month is what's being projected, and they're advertising a 15.4 cap rate. Now that's an amazing cap rate for an advertised property, a listing price. You're like, wow. So what's the first thing that comes to mind? This is probably crap, right? There's probably, the numbers are probably all over the place. These are by far, they're not even pro forma, they're just literally crap. They're overlooking some expenses, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, we're still starting with, they could have advertised a 10 cap and it'd be crap. At least they're advertising a 15 and it might be crap. But overall, it's just looking like a good place to start. Okay, so having said that, let's take a look at what expenses they included. Property taxes, insurance, for a total of $168 a month, right? For some reason, there's a couple bucks more in their monthly expense here at 171 instead of 168. But regardless, they say that on $1,000 of rent, there's $170 of expenses because they're considering property taxes and insurance. Well, remember, if we want to get to the summit, if we want to get to the peak of our investing skill set in our investing portfolio, we have to go through the summit and not miss a step. And taxes and insurance are just two of the 6 categories of expenses. So taxes and insurance, great. There's management. Where's the management cost in here? Is this going to manage itself? I don't know. Where's the maintenance budget? Granted, you don't have to spend every month, but in a year and over the years, there is maintenance, there is CapEx. There's, this is a real cost that's going to affect the numbers if you don't keep it in line. So this should have at least a $50 per month, but more like $100 per month maintenance budget just factored in. So that's an extra 100 for management, 10% of the rent, and another 100% for maintenance budget just to maintain this thing. Utilities, who's paying utilities? It might be the tenant. This is a single family home. It's very possible the tenant pays for all utilities, but this is still a flag, something to verify up front. And the last category, of course, mortgage, but in these deal reveals, we don't have time to get into the mortgage and those calculations. There's the shit category, which is basically what is your oopsie budget? And so no one's ever going to say this, and this is based on you to decide how much of a shit budget you want to calculate and factor in every month. But so there's missing a whole bunch of these categories to buy conservatively the way we show you how to look at a property, even if it's quickly. Okay, so beautiful. There's a little piece of a map, but it doesn't tell us all that much right here and there. So this is basically what I'm looking at. We know the 50% rule, right? The 50% rule, which basically says if your rent is 1,000 and there's 12 months in a year, most years, you can literally slash it in half, multiply it by 50%, and you should get the NOI of the property. And it's an approximation really quickly. If you have all the information for Summit, you would go through that later on. But basically, this is what you can expect from this property. Since this is in Cleveland proper, you don't see the city, but it's actually in Cleveland, you could be a little bit less conservative. And from your gross rent, you could multiply it by 0.55 on these low value properties because taxes are really low. So let's just say that this property's NOI, we're expecting it to be about 6,600, okay? On this little sheet, the NOI that they're marketing is almost 10,000 because they missed all those expenses, right? So there's a huge discrepancy on what we expect and what they're marketing. That doesn't mean it's a bad deal, right? If the NOI is 6,600 and they're asking 65,000 for it, well, what is the cap rate? The NOI divided by the purchase price, it's a 10, okay? They're advertising it as a 15, but really it's a 10. Yeah, it might be an 11, might be a 9, but we're right around there. Certainly not a 15. That's the point. Really quickly. I'm explaining through, but this is really, really quickly. So, does a 10 cap excite you? That's the question, right? So, let's go into what this negotiation looked like. All right. Well, actually, let me take a step back and let me go through just the basics for you here. So you see a property. I kind of dived right into the numbers. I got excited, but let's say you do it the way I typically go through this. You go type it in, put Trulia, take a look at the property. You have some information like it last sold for 21 and now they're asking 65. So hopefully they did a rehab job and they're doing it as a flip. Go into the crime, just get a feel for what's happening in this property, in this area. So this is a colorful area, right? This is not, it's not a no crime area. There is crime. It's not even lightest, it's right pretty much in the middle. So this is a moderate crime area, not to be disregarded. It's beside a higher, it's beside a lighter. So if you completely want to be in a section where there's low crime or no crime, this is not for you. But for example, we would not disregard this type of colorful schematic when we're looking at a property, so long as the numbers make sense. So I will remind you, this is the first call of the year, so it might be a little longer. I'll try to give a little bit more meat and go through the basics for you. I'll remind you that on Trulia, you can do by different type of crime. And so you see, I just changed categories, but you saw none of these things actually changed. So if you just do a zoom out and a zoom in, typically that just refreshes what you need. It didn't in this case, but sometimes it does, promise. So maybe if I do it twice. Did that do it? It did not. So anyways, you might want to just filter in, take a look. If assault, if there's murders and headshots and those things, you might not be comfortable with that, understandably so. So first step was the crime. Next step is we're going to go to our online comparables website, Total View Real Estate, Zillow.com, iComps, Redfin, ePraisal, and there's so many of these that go there. There are softwares like House Canary that basically plugs you into the MLS and gets you all those comps. But those softwares can be quite expensive. Like House Canary is like $1,000 a month just to have that service. Very useful service, especially if you're dealing in high volume or you're doing private lending and you need to get comps really quickly. But nonetheless, I'm advising on the free stuff, get as far as we can on the free before we pay anything. So what does Total View tell us? They say this property is worth about 60,000, and Zillow says it's worth about 62 with a range between 46 and 76. Fantastic. And let's just take a look at some of these comps just to see what we're looking at. This is a 4-1, I'll remind you. So here's a 4-1 that sold for 34,000. Here's a 3-1. So I don't mind looking lower more than looking higher. So 3-1s sold for 516,000. Okay, whoa, that kind of surprises a little bit. A 4-2, 145, but I don't like going higher as much as possible. Here's a 3-1 at 5,459. Another 3-1 at 28,000. Look at these beautiful spreads, right? A 3-1 at 36. A 3-1 at 12. So once you disregarding those outliers, this is clearly a property that's neighboring a very luxurious part, a very high demand area in Cleveland. So let's go back to this and I'll show you here. So yes, we have here the Mount Pleasant area, which is colorful, but you'll see here Lee and South Woodland, Van Aken Boulevard. These properties, if you drive down Lee right here, you have some beautiful mansions. And a mansion in Cleveland is something that sells for about 500 to a million. I mean, a million in Cleveland goes a long way. So they're pulling these comps from these areas here, which is really not comparable. It is close in distance. It might respect the the quarter mile or maybe the half mile in this case, but sorry, they're not comps. You might luck out on an appraisal and they might pull one in, but unlikely, and really that they're not comps. Okay, great. So that's very good. So we have a value. I'm just going to go here. That's 60,000. Most of what I looked at here is in the 30s, right? We'd have to dive in a little bit deeper to see if those were vacant and needed work, but there's not very many at the 60, right? There's a 4-2 at 50, 56. So first gut feeling, I'm not trusting this very much. That's just my gut feeling. But for the purpose of the negotiation, we can't get bogged down too much, right? I would prefer you just start with this in mind and go forward and get to a point where the conversation might actually be serious, right? That they are flexible on the price. They're asking 65, I'll remind you, which is higher than what they're saying here and higher than pretty much the comps we're seeing here, right? So it sounds to me like we're paying full price. We don't know exactly, but it sounds to me like it's too expensive. Okay. But it's a 10 cap at asking price. It's a 4-1 guaranteed rent. So It's got both sides going for it. All right, so let's dive in to see what the negotiations look like on this deal. Okay, here we go. Got a couple of slides. Okay, one, I got that email. I did my 5-minute review like I just did here. I said, we're interested at 56K. Cash closing as soon as tenanted. Because you'll notice that they advertise $1,000 rent, but it's vacant. It's not tenanted. I ask, does this work with your flip numbers for a decent profit? So I'm looking out for them. I'm communicating with them that we're interested and we're clearly serious. We're asking all the good questions, and I'm asking the seller if it works for them. Okay, I don't want to burn a relationship. I don't want to be too blunt, especially this is someone I have a relationship with. We're good friends, so I would just want to make sure that my friend is being taken care of in the process. Wonderful. To reply, thank you for the offer, but it doesn't. I counter at 62.5 net. I'm not sure what net means there, but 62.5 with 6 months of maintenance, free repairs, and 3 months of management included. Okay, so what does that mean? 6 months of maintenance. I mean, the property was just rehabbed, so this just sounds good. It's unlikely that in the first 6 months we're gonna spend the $100 maintenance every month. So at first it might look like a $600 credit, really unlikely. Okay, just putting that out there, but it is what it is. 3 months of management. Well, management at 10% of 1,000 rent is $100 a month, so that's a $300 discount. Okay, so what they did is they decreased the price by $2,500 and really gave a $300 credit on top of that. So that's how much they went down. Hey, at least they went down. There is negotiation here. That's what that means. I said, okay, if we can get a tighter beat on the rental income and utility bill history for the property, we might be able to make something work. What is your ideal closing date? And when do you expect the property to be tenanted? So I'm asking this because this is a subsidized program that's not yet occupied, and they're saying it'll probably give 1,000. So I'm just giving a bone. I'm saying, well, if you can actually get more than 1,000 a month, we might be able to pay more. We might be able to get closer to your number. We might be able to make something work. And I'm asking questions that are committing to a timeline so that they know that we're serious, and we're serious within this, like we can move quickly nonetheless. It's just the property is not doing it for us right now. So often when you're dealing with a property that's vacant but that was freshly rehabbed, would you prefer to have a property that's tenanted or vacant and you have to find the tenant? I would argue that I would prefer it to be tenanted, ideally with your management company to have had a part in placing that tenant, so to make sure you're not just putting a garbage tenant in there, but to buy something that's cash flowing day one, rather than buy it, market it, accept applications, although it's not your time, your manager is doing that, but there's a cost to your manager, probably first month's rent. It'll probably cost you $1,000 just in fees and wait a month. So it's going to cost you $2,000 pretty much at a minimum to get to a point where the property is an asset and not a liability. So that's like adding $2,000 to the purchase price that you could simply say, hey, can you deliver this tenanted and by when? If they say, sure, we can, by the end of the month, beautiful. You've saved $2,000 and you're starting day one with one less stress and timeline to actually get an asset, something that cash flows. Make sense? So to answer, the tenant will be responsible for all utilities, lights, gas, water, and sewer. So that was the question we had. So they're paying all utilities, which was great. Check that off. So the owner will only be paying the taxes and insurance. Only paying taxes and insurance, right? There are other expenses. Then they say, I'm pushing to have the renter in by February 1st, working with CMHA, which is Section 8, the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority, can be a drag. Working with Section 8 can be a drag, right? There are delays. If you want to place a Section 8 tenant, it could be a 2-month process. Okay, just know that. He says, my ideal closing would be at the end of the month, which basically means Ideally, he's selling this not occupied, not tenanted. Okay. For me to reply, well, for $1,000 rent, there's very little flexibility on the numbers. But if the property is tenanted and rented for above 1,000, I think we can make it work. I think we can make it work. But when could there be? By when can there be a clarification on rental amount? So I'm giving the monkey back to them. I'm putting the ball in their court. They have to do something and prove to me the property is worthwhile. I'm telling them I'm interested if we can do these little things. So I am interested. They're going to do some work to make this a better property based on what I'm communicating with them. Okay. For them to basically say, okay, great, I'll keep you posted. Okay. So remember, I started this with a 56,000 cash offer, which is pretty close to the market value, right? And even though maybe I'm not respecting Mao here, probably not, right? I'm probably not buying 30% discount or 25% discount, but the cash flow and the cap rate is interesting enough for me to start a conversation. And I'm hoping I'm under market value right now, right? Yes, there's a big assumption in there at this point, but look, even with this offer, I didn't get a yes. I just started a conversation, established posture, got closer to the end line, and I want to do this with as many properties as possible to get some yeses, some great deals trickle in. If I had spent, 2 days looking at all this and the schools and everything just to put an offer at 40,000, you can see how those two things don't work as well as what I just demonstrated here. Okay, so what am I targeting basically? I'm targeting that if this property has 6,600 and I put an offer at 56,000, I'm basically offering at a 12 cap right now, which really doesn't excite me all that much, right? I am a little bit banking on the fact that it'll come tenanted with higher than 1,000. I think we might be able to get a little bit higher than 1,000 here, which will sway the cap rate up. But I'm entering the conversation now. Hopefully, I'll get to a point where we can lock it in to a conversation now, and then I can decide over the next couple of weeks and do all the numbers, because maybe it is a 7,500 NOI. We're doing assumptions here, but I'm getting in fast. So that is basically it. Tell me, is this a deal or no deal for you? Dino says, we need to pay 50,000 for this one, Kyle. You offered too much. I might have. I love it, Dino. You got to that number quickly. I'll remind you, round numbers are harder to justify. It sounds like you're just pulling a number out of your butt, right? 56, 55,182 is what we can pay for this cash, right? Sounds like we had a fancy calculation to get there, and we did. We'll just never tell them how we got there. Whoops, what happened? There we go. So deal or no deal? Deal or no deal? Tell me. I took my time today. You should have some opinion on the matter. Come on, Anurag, Brad, Daniel, Sergio, Stefan, Tony, Maryse. I'm skipping some because I don't want to butcher names. Sorry. Javad, Eker, Heather, Donnie, Dom. Dino, you already commented. Wonderful. Daniel. Deal or no deal? All right, we got a shot. Oh, no, there they are. Okay, no deal, Javad says. Deal, Anurag says. Eker, no deal. Maryse is not sure. Tony wants a trailer park. Stefan says good deal. Excellent. So there's a mix. So here's the exciting part. This is a real deal that came in yesterday. All right. So if you're interested in this particular deal, send an email to deals@n4t.club and we'll patch you into the deal. You'll be able to have a communication with the seller if you want, and this might be your first deal. It's as simple as that. All right. Deals@n4t.club n4t.club. If you're interested, I sent it to none of you. Deals@n4t.club. There we go. As simple as that. Deal or no deal. So what do I think? I think this has a good potential. I know that there is some potential, there's some upside to drag it higher than a 12 cap, which I like. A 4-1 desirable for families. It's good on the subsidized program side. I'm comfortable with that crime level, no problem. So overall, I think this is a wonderful start of a deal. And I've already put the posture in at 56. Who knows where it'll land for you? So I will invite you to join Our next free training, which obviously next Thursday, same time, there's going to be another JK deal reveal. That's fine. But at the end of this month, at the fourth Thursday on January 28th, there will be a full hour training on mobile home parks. So I think it was Tony who said that he wanted trailer parks. You won't want to miss this. It's the same link as you're here today. We're going to go through looking at a mobile home park and see how that differs from an apartment building, from a duplex. Anyways, we're going to give you some insight on the mobile home park or the trailer park or the mobile home community or mobile home estate realm, right? All synonyms that all have different stigmas depending on what part of the country you're in. So join us. If you haven't already attended our 2-day training, the recording is available between now and the next time we give a live one, which will probably be in March. So it's a good long ways away. If you want to get on the beat right away, this is the link to get the recording with all the bonuses, n4tblueprint.com. More than welcome to go check that out. And it includes all the bonuses, the e-course, all the steps you need to do before buying your first property to make sure you're not skipping a step and you have the foundations in place. Every week, yes, you have this JK deal reveal, but there's another hour, basically a group coaching call with me at 8, right after this at 8. There's a group call. You get plugged into that for a full month. If you, when you basically you attend the training, gives you the foundation, then you go and you can ask questions. The resource center with scripts and templates and action plans. Our library, I got to change the color of this one. Everything we've ever done on training and content delivery has been recorded and is available for you in the library so you can rewatch at your convenience. So just have fun, enjoy. If you have a deal that you'd like to have featured on our JK deal reveal, just submit it to us. You can go to our website, n4t.club, in the contact us form, or you can even send it at deals@n4t.club as well. Send it to us with the address at the very least, hopefully just a price because you probably found it somewhere, and we'll go through it. We'll take the 5-10 minutes it takes with explanations and we'll make it happen for you. So this was another JK deal reveal. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you on the other side. Be sure to enjoy this beautiful new year, this new year of opportunity. 2020 was for many people who join, who are part of our community, part of our mastermind, was the very best year of their lives. And we're no exception. JK, Janie, and I, and our circle was no exception. 2020 was the best year of our investing careers, our entrepreneuring careers. And 2021, I guarantee, will be 5 times better, 100%. So you are who, you are what you eat, and you are who you meet. All right. So make sure that your circle is tight, is positive, is solid, and just go get your miracle now for tomorrow. Enjoy, everyone. Love each other. And I will either see you at 8 in the premium coaching call, or we'll see you next Thursday for the next JK deal reveal. Take care.